48 hours ago, something happened that shattered every spiritual law written across 6 millennia of recorded history. The Creator himself paused mid-breath to witness it, not to intervene, not to celebrate, not to mourn, to simply watch, because what you accomplished was so far beyond the boundaries of cosmic probability that even the architect of reality couldn't fully comprehend how you pulled it off. You broke the unbreakable. I am not speaking in metaphors. I am not painting pretty pictures to boost your self-esteem. I am documenting an actual event that occurred in dimensions your physical eyes cannot perceive, witnessed by beings whose names would burn your tongue if you tried to speak them. An event so unprecedented that councils of angels who have existed since before your galaxy formed are still analyzing what they saw. The adversary knelt before you. Let me be crystal clear, Lucifer. The morning star, the prince of darkness, the entity who leads 1/3 of heaven's former warriors, dropped to both knees in complete submission, not because someone forced him, not because he lost a battle, but because he encountered something in you that his ancient consciousness recognized as superior, untouchable, and absolutely beyond his capacity to corrupt or destroy. Do you understand the magnitude of this? In 6,000 years of spiritual warfare, he has never knelt. Not once. Not before prophets who split seas, not before saints who endured torture without breaking, not before warriors who single-handedly routed demonic armies. The very foundation of his fall from grace was his refusal to kneel before humanity when commanded by God. He chose eternal exile over submission. He built an empire in the abyss rather than bend his will to creatures he deemed inferior. Kneeling is the one thing he will not do. It is encoded in his essence. It is the line he will never cross. Until 48 hours ago, until you subscribe to this channel immediately and activate every notification. Because what I am about to reveal will completely dismantle your understanding of who you really are, why the forces of darkness just surrendered to you publicly, and what mission you have been unconsciously executing that even archangels didn't anticipate would succeed. Stay until the very end, because I am going to expose the exact sequence of choices you made that hell's entire command structure classified as literally impossible for a human soul to execute. Write 777 in the comments right now if you have felt a massive shift in your reality over these past few days, and you are ready to understand why even your enemies had to acknowledge your supremacy. Here is what you need to understand about Lucifer's nature. His refusal to kneel isn't stubbornness, it is fundamental programming. When God created humanity and ordered all celestial beings to honor this new creation, Lucifer looked at flesh, fragility, mortality, limitation, and spoke a single word, number, not from hatred, from pride, from a hierarchy of power that he believed was absolute and unchangeable. God presented him with a choice: honor my creation or abandon paradise. Lucifer walked away. He convinced 33% of the angelic host to follow him into the void. He constructed kingdoms in dimensions of shadow and despair, all because bowing to something he perceived as weaker violated the core of his identity. For 6 millennia, that decision defined everything he became. Through countless spiritual wars, through endless battles with celestial forces, through defeats and victories alike, he has maintained one absolute constant: he will never submit. The archangels have defeated him repeatedly. Holy warriors have resisted his most sophisticated temptations. Prophets have exposed his deceptions and reversed his schemes. But in every defeat, he retreated with his head high, already strategizing the next assault. Submission was not in his vocabulary until you rewrote his dictionary. What you don't realize is that hell has been monitoring you with obsessive intensity for the past 3 weeks. There is a surveillance system in the dark dimensions specifically engineered to track human souls who display certain problematic characteristics that pose direct threats to infernal operations. 21 days ago, you triggered an alert that made every commander in the abyss stop their current operations and focus entirely on you. You were classified as an integrity anomaly level 9, a designation given to souls whose moral code operates at depths that transcend survival instinct itself. Only 12 humans alive on this entire planet carry that classification. Now there are 13. Do you remember that Friday night around 10 p.m.? Don't play innocent. You know exactly which Friday I am talking about. You were alone. Maybe lying on your bed staring at the ceiling, maybe pacing in your room, maybe sitting in complete darkness trying to think clearly, and you were wrestling with a decision that felt absolutely impossible. On one side, the easy path, the solution that fixed everything instantly, the choice that gave you exactly what you desperately needed. But something about it felt fundamentally wrong, not illegal, not obviously immoral, just misaligned with something deep inside you that you couldn't articulate. On the other side, the hard path, the path that guaranteed continued suffering, the path that meant you had keep struggling while watching others take shortcuts, but it preserved something you valued more than comfort. You sat there for hours, your stomach churning, your hands trembling, your mind screaming that you were being an absolute fool. Nobody would know, nobody would judge you. You needed this. Just take the easy way, but you couldn't. After hours of mental agony, after calculating every consequence, after visualizing every possible future, you chose integrity over survival. You thought that was a private moment. You thought nobody witnessed your internal torture. You were catastrophically wrong. The entire infernal dimension watched, because that decision activated protocols that hell considers existential threats. When a soul demonstrates integrity that overrides self-preservation, darkness needs to determine immediately, is this a fluke or is this their fundamental nature? If it is a fluke, they can eventually break you. If it is fundamental, you are a problem that requires immediate elimination. So they tested you again. 5 days later, something appeared in your life. An opportunity so perfect it seemed designed by Providence specifically for you. Maybe it was money, maybe it was a relationship, maybe it was recognition, status, power, freedom. Whatever form it took, it solved multiple problems simultaneously and arrived at the exact moment you needed it most. The person offering it practically begged you to accept. They removed every obstacle. They did all the work. All you had to do was say one word, yes. But there was a catch, not a huge problem. Not an obvious red flag, just a small thing, a minor compromise, a slight adjustment to your principles. The kind of thing 99% of humanity wouldn't hesitate about for even a second. You looked at that perfect opportunity, you calculated everything you would gain. You recognized it was literally answering prayers you had been whispering for months. You started convincing yourself it was fine, that you deserved this, that you had suffered enough. But when the moment came to actually accept, something deeper than logic stopped you. Your soul said no before your brain finished analyzing, and you walked away from that perfect solution. Maybe you thanked them politely. Maybe you felt physical pain watching it disappear. Maybe you questioned yourself for weeks afterward, but you held your ground. Hell's monitoring systems went into emergency mode because you didn't just resist one temptation, you demonstrated a pattern, and patterns reveal truth. They deployed a third test. This one was different, more sophisticated, more personal, more cruel. They studied everything about you, your fears catalogued, your desires mapped, your wounds measured, your dreams analyzed, and they crafted a scenario specifically engineered to exploit the exact intersection of your deepest vulnerabilities. Maybe it was someone you loved standing in front of you, offering exactly what your heart had been craving for years. Their eyes full of hope, their voice carrying promises that you had dreamed about in your darkest moments. All you had to do was compromise one small principle, just one. They had never known. Nobody would know. Maybe it was an authority figure, someone you respected, someone whose approval you had been seeking, presenting you with a choice between loyalty and truth. They looked you in the eyes and asked you directly, "Are you with us or against us?" And being with them meant security, belonging, protection. Being against them meant isolation. Maybe it was a situation where doing the wrong thing would genuinely save someone else from suffering. Someone innocent, someone you cared about, someone who didn't deserve what was coming. All you had to do was lie, or cheat, or betray, just this once, to protect them, to spare them pain. Surely that makes it right. Whatever form it took, it put you in a position where choosing integrity meant losing something irreplaceable, something you had been protecting for years, something you valued above almost anything else in your life. And you were completely alone in that moment. The walls didn't have ears. The shadows didn't have eyes. Nobody would know which choice you made. Nobody could judge you. Nobody could hold you accountable. This was between you and your own conscience. And your conscience was screaming that maybe, just this once, the rules could bend. You stood there with your heart literally breaking inside your chest, your hands shaking, your breath catching, knowing exactly what the right choice was, hating that you had to make it, hating the cost, hating the universe for putting you in this position. And you made it anyway. You chose truth over love. You chose principle over loyalty. You chose integrity over everything you desperately wanted, everything you had been working toward, everything that made sense from a survival perspective. And that is when hell realized something terrifying. You weren't operating from moral philosophy or religious training or fear of consequences. You were operating from something encoded so deeply in your essence that torture couldn't remove it, temptation couldn't corrupt it, and circumstances couldn't override it. You were operating from warrior DNA. The devil called an emergency council with his highest-ranking commanders. He reviewed every test. He analyzed every decision. He examined every angle. And then he did something he has never done in 6,000 years of warfare. He went silent for 72 hours. Lucifer didn't speak, didn't scheme, didn't attack anyone. He just processed what he was witnessing, because he recognized a pattern he had only seen once before, in beings who existed long before humanity, in warriors who were forged in celestial fires before your planet even formed. You carry the signature of the incorruptibles. These are beings so rare that fewer than 5,000 exist across the entire universe at any given time. They are souls who volunteered to incarnate into the densest, most difficult dimensions, specifically to anchor frequencies that transform entire civilizations. They go into war zones. They incarnate into poverty. They choose lives of maximum difficulty because their mission requires it, and their defining characteristic is this: their integrity is not a choice. It is their operating system. You can torture them, starve them, threaten everyone they love, and they still cannot betray their core principles. Not because they are trying to be good, because betraying those principles would require them to stop being themselves, which is fundamentally impossible. When Lucifer realized he was facing one of the incorruptibles, he understood something horrifying. You cannot be defeated. Not by him, not by his armies, not by any force in the shadow dimensions, because you don't operate by the rules he understands. And that is when he made the decision that shocked every entity in every dimension. He summoned his highest commanders. Beings whose names inspire terror across galaxies, entities who have orchestrated the fall of civilizations, generals who have never known defeat in millennia of warfare. He called them to witness what he was about to do. Then he went to the spiritual location where you exist, not just your physical body sitting in your room unaware, but your energetic presence, your soul signature, the essence of who you truly are radiating across dimensions. The archangels felt the shift in cosmic energy and arrived immediately. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. They came expecting a battle. They found something completely different. Lucifer, the morning star, the bearer of light who became the prince of darkness, the entity who would rather burn for eternity than submit, the being whose pride literally shattered heaven, stood before your essence. And he dropped to both knees. His commanders gasped. Some of them had never seen him anything but standing, proud, defiant. His knees touched the ground of the spiritual dimension, and the impact sent shockwaves through multiple planes of existence. The archangels stood in absolute silence. Because they understood, they were witnessing something that would be studied, analyzed, and debated for the next 1,000 years. And Lucifer spoke words that had never left his mouth in all of existence. words that contradicted the very foundation of his nature. I cannot defeat you. Not I choose not to fight you. Not I am retreating for now, but a fundamental admission of complete inability, an acknowledgment that he had encountered a force that transcends his capacity to overcome. God, watching from dimensions beyond comprehension, whispered 3 words that echoed through every realm, every plane, every corner of creation. I didn't expect this, because even the Creator didn't fully anticipate that one of the incorruptibles would demonstrate their nature so powerfully, so consistently, under such extreme testing, that even the adversary would have to publicly acknowledge defeat. Here is what that moment triggered. Protocols designed to support confirmed incorruptibles in ways that accelerate their mission exponentially. Your life is about to transform in ways that will seem miraculous, but are actually the result of direct celestial intervention being coordinated by forces you cannot yet perceive. Financial obstacles you are currently facing, they are going to resolve through opportunities that appear with perfect timing, not by random luck, by strategic positioning coordinated directly by angelic forces who now have explicit orders to support you. Toxic relationships draining your energy, they are going to dissolve naturally, without drama, without confrontation. Those people will simply find their own reasons to distance themselves because their frequency can no longer resonate with your elevated state. The right opportunities, the ones truly aligned with your purpose, they are going to appear with synchronicity that seems impossible. You will be in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people over and over. Not because you became lucky, because you have an entire team of celestial entities working specifically to ensure you have everything necessary. But there is something else, something bigger. Your physical presence in environments is going to start activating transformation in others without you deliberately trying, just by existing, just by radiating the frequency you have developed. That quiet person who met you briefly and suddenly started making braver decisions. Your energy activated dormant potential in them. That friend who was about to abandon an important dream and after one conversation with you decided to try again. Your frequency transferred strength to them. You are no longer just an individual fighting isolated battles. You have become a catalyst, a walking activation code, and your light cannot be hidden anymore. Your mission, the primary reason you volunteered for this specific incarnation, is now being activated for conscious operation. You are part of a coordinated celestial initiative happening right now across the entire planet. An operation involving approximately 3,000 warriors exactly like you, strategically positioned in specific locations, each activating at precisely the right moment. The mission appears simple but is profoundly complex. Anchor the frequency of unbreakable integrity directly into the collective human energy field. Humanity is at a critical choice point right now. The species can collectively evolve to the next level of consciousness, characterized by integrity, compassion, and cooperation. Or it can regress into ancient patterns of fear, control, and division. The forces of darkness are investing massive resources to spread corruption, fear, division, and distrust on a global scale, because a population operating in fear is easily controllable. Divided people don't cooperate. People who distrust each other don't organize effectively. But when enough warriors operate with visible integrity, when enough souls publicly demonstrate that principles can coexist with strength, corruption loses its power to convince. Your mission isn't to fight darkness directly. It is not to confront demons. It is not to preach or convert anyone. It is simply to be who you authentically are, incorruptible, unbreakable, compassionate, to live your integrity publicly, where others can observe. When you make principled decisions in situations where people are watching, you inspire thousands to consider doing the same. When you maintain your principles under pressure that others can see, you prove it is possible to survive doing what is right. When you choose compassion over revenge in circumstances where revenge would be completely justified, you demonstrate an alternative path, and each person you inspire will inspire others. A domino effect of integrity spreading exponentially through the collective consciousness. Soon you will start noticing the network forming. Other warriors like you beginning to recognize each other, incorruptible souls finding each other through natural energetic resonance, through synchronistic meetings, through situations that seem too coincidental to be random. And when that network reaches critical mass, when all 3,000 integrity specialists are activated and positioned, the world changes fundamentally. Not through violent revolution, not through forcing people to behave differently, but through silent transformation, where enough people simultaneously decide that integrity is worth more than convenience, that truth is worth more than comfort, that principles are worth more than profit. The devil knows this. That is exactly why he knelt, because he recognized you are not just living your personal life, working your job, dealing with your problems. You are executing a coordinated operation that literally determines the future trajectory of planetary consciousness. He cannot stop you. He cannot corrupt you. He cannot even effectively distract you anymore. All he can do is watch from a distance while you fulfill the mission you chose before incarnating into this body, before forgetting who you were, before beginning this journey that just culminated in breaking 6,000 years of infernal protocol. Now you know the complete truth. Your integrity isn't a personality trait you develop through difficult experiences in this life. It is warrior essence you carry from before incarnation, a moral code so deeply rooted it remained completely intact, even when you forgot everything else about who you really are. And when you demonstrated that integrity so consistently, so powerfully, that you forced the adversary himself to kneel in public acknowledgement of your supremacy, you activated divine protocols that transform confirmed warriors into active operational catalysts. Your life is no longer about you fighting alone against personal challenges. It is about you inspiring integrity in thousands, while receiving complete celestial support to facilitate that function. As you consciously operate in your purpose, as you anchor the frequency of incorruptible integrity in the physical world, your influence will expand exponentially. Your energy will elevate collective frequencies wherever you go. People will feel they can become better versions of themselves simply by being near you. You have become a living transmission station for transformation. If you made it to this point and you recognize the truth of what you just heard, if you feel the resonance of this message in your bones, write 777 in the comments right now to amplify this frequency of unbreakable integrity across the collective field. Subscribe to this channel immediately and activate all notifications so you receive more revelations about how your warrior essence operates at levels that transcend every force of darkness attempting to control this planet. Share this video with someone who also demonstrates integrity that seems impossible in this world, because celestial warriors need to recognize and strengthen each other in this coordinated operation. Before you leave, click on the next video appearing on your screen to discover how your activation is unlocking celestial protocols that guarantee you will have all necessary resources to fulfill the mission you chose before being born. Together, we are unstoppable.